Well, hello Internet. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to talk about a new horror film that was released this year that I saw some buzz about on Twitter. And every now and again I'll see some people post just a poster or like a one little sentence blurb about how they felt about a movie, and I'll jump on it and watch it, especially if it's like easily accessible and something that I can just watch right away. And I saw the poster and it intrigued me for a film called We Need to Do Something that's now streaming on Hulu. If you're new to the channel and you haven't been here before, then you need to do something. And what you need to do is subscribe. Yes, click that button down below. If you could also like the video, that would help me out a lot. Lets me know the type of content that you're looking for. And now, on with the review. We Need to Do Something is directed by Sean King O'Grady. It tells the story of a family, a mother and father played by Vinessa Shaw and Pat Healy, and their two children played by Sierra McCormick and John James Cronin. It's a really stormy night and their daughter comes home and they're all in the bathroom because there's these tornado warnings. And the sirens are going off, things are going crazy, and they all start to get a little uncomfortable. And then there's this loud noise and you hear a crash. And they try to get out of their bathroom. Well, what you come to find out is part of the house has been destroyed and a tree's come through and has blocked their way out of the restroom. So they're trapped inside of this bathroom, and weird things start to happen throughout this film. On the surface, this is something that I would normally really enjoy. I like films that are more character driven and that center around, family dynamic and this complication in between these people and being in this specific space. And virtually this entire movie takes place in one specific space, in this bathroom. What we're given is these performances from these characters that all of their relationship and chemistry is built through the interactions that they have. There's not a lot of expositional dialogue. It's mostly about the interactions that build your understanding of these characters, and then a couple of flashback sequences throughout that kind of give you insight into specifically the daughter's character and what's going on with her and why this situation is occurring. This movie is kind of a mixed bag for me. There are some true brilliant moments throughout it. There's some moments of cinematography that I really liked, some really good scare elements in it, and then there's some really bad screenwriting with some terrible dialogue and some average performances. I don't want to say anyone in this movie is really terrible, but there's not really anything stand out enough for me to care. Just like the way the plot is constructed. I really like this idea of this family who clearly already has problems on the surface, and there's already issues, and their dynamic is struggling as it is, and then you force these characters to be confined into a space together to where they have to fight for survival. And I really like that premise of the film, but because the performances are a little lackluster, the impact emotionally isn't as intense as I would have liked it to be. And also just like a lot of the build up to the payoff of the film is kind of sloppily written, and that really disappointed me. I'll start off with the cinematography. Being that this is shot in a really small space, you have to find ways to keep it interesting. And there's some moments where it's relatively flat, where you just have shot, reverse shot conversationally. But the filmmakers do try to introduce some unique visual style throughout the film so that you as an audience member aren't left looking at the same thing over and over again. There's a lot of attention to detail in the cinematography, especially in the flashback sequences. They're trying to build this level of like supernatural element to the film. And once you get into the plot, which I'm not going to spoil in case you want to see it, but once you get into why the things are occurring, there's some more surreal elements thrown in there as far as the camera work's concerned that were more interesting to me to look at. As far as performances, Sierra McCormick and Vinessa Shaw are the two stronger performers in the film. I feel like they both did a really great job. There's a couple moments where I feel like because of the way the dialogue's written, it's a little hokier, and they're doing the best with what they were given. The family dynamic feels really real at times, and then there's other times that it just feels like faux Hollywood trash that you're used to, where the chemistry between these people don't really feel like parents and children. It feels like it's very scripted, but there are a couple moments that breaks through, and I think that, Vinessa Shaw's character specifically and the relationship that she has with her children is really good. Pat Healy gives an okay performance. I really like him normally. I think that he does a really good job, but there's a couple moments where he's really hamming it up in this movie. and just going over the top. And I understand that he's trying to go for this like distraught, wants to get out of this circumstance, but some of the decisions that he makes don't even really make sense as far as like what you would do to get out of this situation. And it just feels really overblown and confusing, and it frustrated me after a while because I was like, why are you doing this shit? Like, why are you making these decisions? And yeah, his character just feels a little overblown, and I understand like there's clearly this idea that's presented that he's not a good husband, that he's clearly mentally abusive, it seems, towards not only his children, but towards his wife in particular. And yeah, their dynamic is just a little strange. John James Cronin, who plays their young son, does a fine job. But yeah, there's just a couple of moments in the screenplay where the dialogue is just so hokey that it really is, it's hard to get through at times, especially for an hour and a half runtime. Once the supernatural element is introduced into the film, I didn't mind it. It's a little sloppy. There's some moments where I was just like, I didn't love the way this was presented. But they try to correlate this situation with, mental health issues and self-harm, and there's a lot of really heady themes that are introduced, but I feel like none of it is held on long enough or left to sit with the audience member to where it is emotionally impactful, because, I'm someone who deals pretty heavily with depression. I've dealt with it my whole life, depression and anxiety. And when you watch a film that's conveying suicidal thoughts or self-harm or depression or anxiety, even in a horror film, because there's movies that deal with those things really well, like look for instance at Ari Aster's Hereditary. That's a film that deals with trauma and grief and depression in a very heightened sense, elevated levels of supernatural elements introduced to show the severity of that. And even his film Midsummer does so similarly. And there's a way to approach that source material. And I think what I didn't enjoy about this movie is when you're tackling a subject matter like that, there's a way to do it where it's handled delicately, that you could introduce the subject matter with the supernatural element and really make it work. And I just felt like the dialogue wasn't well written enough and the performances weren't solid enough for me to have any of that resonate with me to where it made an impact. And that was disappointing because I thought that this movie had a lot of potential and it just fell flat for me. So yeah, that's my thoughts on We Need to Do Something. I thought it was alright. I don't think it's a horrible movie by any means. I think if you're looking for something to watch quickly, it's streaming on Hulu. It's worth your time just to see if you enjoy it, because I really appreciate any time independent filmmakers or small scale filmmakers go out and attempt to make a passion project. And I liked elements of this movie. I thought there were parts of it that I really enjoyed, but overall it just didn't work for me as a whole. So have you seen We Need to Do Something yet? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. I thought this movie was okay. And there were moments I liked, there was moments I didn't like, but I would love to hear your thoughts. As always, if you'd like the video and subscribe to the channel, helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content that you're looking for. As always, thanks so much for watching the internet and have a great rest of your day.